Why saving is important, how to save and set goals on saving, what's a FICO score, and what are credit cards. And you guys know what credit cards are, I'll show you how they work a little bit. Basically, you can't save if you're spending everything and you don't know where you're spending it. So a lot of it will go through the iPad, the iPod, what you're downloading. You put your debit card on there, and then you keep charging and you're not realizing if you're not keeping track of it. Obviously, eating out, and this is true of adults. It's true of adults, and a lot of people spend a lot more money eating out than they think. I went to McDonald's this morning and I got breakfast for 3 people. It was $18. $18. So I never expected to spend that much at McDonald's. Okay. You want to calculate how much you're earning. Anybody here have a job? Okay. So you get a paycheck. Is it the full amount on there, or do you see things coming out of it?
Like things taxes? Coming out of it, yeah.
Like taxes. So you have to look not at what you're earning is $10, but what you're actually taking home. If you're earning $10 an hour, you're probably taking home about $7.75. That's how much you're actually earning after the United States government takes a little piece of your paycheck.
I get the direct deposit.
Direct deposit, same thing. It's faster to get your money with direct deposit, but they still take the taxes out. That's a good point. Are you spending more than you make? Again, with credit cards, it's really easy to spend more than you make, and this is something that affects people of all ages, not just young people. This explains how to save with an annual percentage yield. So does anybody know, if you put some money in the account in the bank, what do you earn? Interest? You earn interest, generally, right? Okay, so this is how interest would work. If you had 3% interest on your account, and you put away just $25 a month, for the first year you had $305, but in 5 years, you'd have $1620. Woo! That's how interest calculates. So if you save it and you keep it in there, you'll still keep building on it. That's a very high interest rate. It's not that high now, but it still is worth it to save. What we suggest for a lot of our members is they get their paycheck and they just take $25 right out of it and put it into their savings account, and they forget about it. They just forget that it's there.
Yeah, because it's right off.
Right, because they took it away from you. So it's not your checking account. You can't keep swiping your debit card. You can't write checks against it. It's in your savings. And then before you know it, at the end of the year, you have maybe $1,100 from just saving a little bit every payroll. So savings still works. So the basic idea is every time you get your check, save a little bit of it. And even if you save $5 or $10, that's going to add up. $10 a week. Now a couple of months, you have $300. Especially if you're looking for a down payment to get a car. Obviously, most people who come out of high school have no credit score, so you're either going to need a nice down payment to buy a car, or you find somebody in your family or somebody in your neighborhood selling a car cash, and you'll need all the cash, in which case you may need some help from a cosigner or somebody, or do a personal loan, but you're going to need some money down, and the only way to get that is to save it. And then obviously save your money in a safe place, which is the credit union or bank.
Under the bed.
Under the bed's the first place that robbers look, because a lot of people do their shoebox.
Get robbed.
Under the bed and under the mattress. And we have people, older people that die, and their relatives will go to their house and they find money in the weirdest places. Cookie jars, like
in books.
All kinds of places.
Ain't no robber gonna look in a book. What he gonna try to do? He gonna
what
try to
if they didn't find the money?
Put it in the Bible.
What are they supposed to do with the money if they find it?
That's it's tricky. That's too complicated. But at any rate, you want to save your money in an account somewhere where it's insured. And if there was something to happen to the credit union, you're still insured. You still have your money. If you save it, if it's cash and you save it somewhere where you can't watch it all the time, it may not be there when you go back the next time. Okay. There are different ways to save. Basically, a savings account, just a basic savings account. You can start ours with $5, just $5 to put into a savings account. There's other ways of saving. They're called CDs, which means you put the money away for 6 months, and it lasts. It stays there for 6 months. You earn higher interest, but you can't touch it. Some people like that because, again, if they take the money out, they lose all the interest. So they're more apt to want to put it somewhere where it's locked in and they can't touch it. All right, FICO scores. Does anybody hear about credit score, creditscore.com, all the places, everybody on the internet? A FICO score is the score you get from the credit bureaus that determines how likely you are to pay a lender back. And it is the number one way we make lending decisions. Again, as a new person out in the market, your score is going to be a 0. And what you need to do is build on that score. A lot of times we'll start people with a college credit card or a secured credit card, and that you can get a Visa card, you put the money up front, you give $200, and then the company gives you a credit card. You can use that to start building your credit, and you charge that, and then you have a credit card. And you also have a new line there.
I'd rather have debit. I don't like credit.
Well, with debit, it doesn't affect your score.
Exactly.
So if you use everything with cash and debit and you go to buy a home and there's nothing available, you're never going to be able to get a mortgage. You have to establish some credit.
Apartment.
If you go, okay, that's a good point. Landlords check your credit as well, and we do have members that want to live somewhere, and the landlord said the credit's too bad, we won't let them move in.
Can you buy a house? Can you buy a house with cash if you got all that bread?
Not in Connecticut, but you can try.
It'd be like for that.
That's
all
not
that
that you
bread.
need to have
What do you mean
credit to buy
not
a
in Connecticut? In
house.
Connecticut, you can't buy a house cash.
No, you can buy it. It's just that a lot of homes
You
are very
have to have a
expensive.
lot of money to say to do
Oh,
that.
Yeah, a lot of cash to
You
do
know what's
that.
crazy? I feel like Connecticut is such a ripoff. Like you have to have all this credit and stuff.
All right. Well, this is national. The credit score bureaus are national. So if you live in Connecticut and you don't pay any bills here, and you move to California, they all follow you. Your credit score follows you wherever you go. It's attached to your social and your date of birth. So everything that you've done with your credit history shows on there for up to 10 to 15 years before things that will start to drop off because you're too old.
Somebody said no.
Okay, so your credit score can affect all these things. Again, approval and rates paid on loans. So the lower your credit, the higher the rate will be.
What's your credit score?
We do our, none of your business. We do our,
Shit.
You know what I mean? Not all apartments check credit, so that's just for some of them. I'm gonna go to the ones that don't check credit. So I got my shit.
if you were to go to Hartford,
Don't worry about it.
Like that.
If I go
Do
to
not
Hartford, I
verify
go
credit.
to no.
Come at me
they
like
may
that.
still rent you
I
the,
got your social media.
they may
That's the
still
personal
rent you the
question.
apartment, but you'll pay a
I
higher
thought you
rent.
had a high credit
Less
score.
likely
You
to
can
be
brag about
paid.
it.
Okay.
I don't got no.
Alfredo, thank
You don't
you.
got no.
But isn't it a good thing if you have a high credit score?
But it's not.
At the end of the day, you still
It's not
won't know
your
because I'm
business.
not
So if you
supposed
don't
to
wanna say it, it's
gonna
low.
be right here.
I know people.
No.
Like you never tell anybody else.
I work for a credit union, so when after they hired me, they checked my credit. If my credit was poor, I could have lost the job.
Tell me what.
So that's the answer there. Because I work with money, I have to have a respectable credit score. Your cell phone, does anybody have a cell phone? Okay, so how are you paying for your cell phone?
I pay to a joint account.
Okay, all right. 'Cause we are
Oh
seeing,
shit, joint account. What the hell?
You didn't even buy it.
joint means that the other person is involved
Yeah.
too. Joint is joint, which is a good point. If you have somebody else on the account, it affects you as well. We've had some members come in that they had a couple of cell phones and they didn't pay the bill. So now when they go to get a new cell phone, they want a $500 deposit. So the cell phone companies are getting pretty tough
It's
about
not that
people
bad. 500.
That's corny.
if you don't pay the bill to T-Mobile and then you go to Verizon, Verizon will give you a phone, but they want a $500 deposit. Because
What's
they
it called? They told me like when I got my phone, they told me because I didn't have credit at all. It wasn't like I had bad credit, just I didn't have.
Right, you
They told me that I
right.
needed to like establish credit, so I had to like put $400 down.
$400 down, exactly. There's where you need your savings again. You need to put cash down just to get a phone.
Some crazy shit like that.
Okay.
Yo. Both of y'all.
This is your score. Basically, the biggest thing that affects your credit score is your payment history. So how you pay your bills, if you pay everything on time, or if you're always late, or if you're currently delinquent. How much you owe, how much credit you have out there that you've spent. So if you've charged every card to the max, that's going to lower the score. How long you've had credit, which is a smaller amount. The type of credit you use. There's
What do you
two
mean by type of credit?
type of credit.
Look at
Good
my
question.
dad.
Revolving is a credit card, and installment would be a car loan. So they want to see a balance generally between what you have for installment and what you have for revolving. If you have all credit card debt and nothing installment, that looks bad to a lender because they can't tell how much you are actually paying per month. Because on a credit card, you just pay the minimum. Okay, these are credit scores. So On here, A plus credit is a 730 or higher. A credit, which is pretty common for a lot of people, that's a 680 through 729. Go ahead, yep.
Not Mr. but what's the highest credit score you're able to ever get?
850, which is really, really rare to find somebody with an
That's
850.
good.
That's A plus. So basically people who have a score that high are no longer borrowing money, which is the weird part about it. They're usually older, they saved a lot of money, they've already paid off a mortgage. They're not like where you guys are, where you're trying to build your credit. Your credit would land right around a C, which is like 600, you're right in the middle.
That's so stressful. My girlfriend.
Well, but you can manage it. And we help people through it all the time. A lot of times they'll go to an E because of sickness or divorce or they lost their job or any kind of things that happen to
I
people.
think my mom did it.
And we can help them rebuild it.
I'm not sure like
I think my mom did it.
what it was, but my grandfather had like really high credit score. And
Yeah.
he went to a car dealership and they like let him like come out with a car. He didn't have to pay nothing down.
Right, right. Because he's paid everything in his
Yeah.
whole life. And they'll do that to sell cars. They'll give you 0% down.
That's great.
That's another great way
It was like
to
a
prove that if you have great credit, you get
Yeah.
better deals. Okay.
I wish.
So the average high school graduate, again, will be a C score. You'll be around a 600 or 0, but that's fine because that's your age group and that's what we expect. Obviously, what you don't want to do is when you get that cell phone, you do want to pay it on time. You don't want to, as we say, stiff a cell phone company because they're pretty vicious. If you get into school and you start taking student loans, those are deferred while you're in school, but when you get out of school after 6 months, you'll have to start paying them. If you skip those payments, that can really hurt your score as well.
so student loan debt counts towards that.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep, student loan debt, absolutely. And this goes into, again, what hurts the score? Late payments, that's the biggest thing we see people doing. They have the money or they have the minimum payment and they just forget or they don't get it scheduled and all of a sudden they're 30 days delinquent and that really hits the score. Credit cards that are at capacity, you have 3 credit cards, they all have a $500 limit and you've spent all of it on every single one of them. That looks like that's going to be a bad sign against your credit. Again, that's low level of percent available. So if you have 3 credit cards and you have nothing available to charge, that's going to make the credit score go lower. Having the lender lower the limit, if you want to try and have them help control yourself, we really recommend that you either cut that card up and start with another one, but don't ask them to lower it because that actually will lower your score as well.
If you what? If you lower what?
If you call your credit card company and say, lower my limit, because I don't trust myself, that actually will affect your score.
Why? Why?
We're not, if that's a credit bureau thing, we're not sure on that, but it could mean that
Does
you're
it depend on like where you're going?
You're kind of admitting guilt. Admitting guilt.
How is your charger so long?
I just bought it like that.
Again, more things that could affect shopping excessively for credit. If you go to the mall and you open up every charge card that they offer you the 10% on, that's all going to show is inquiries on your credit and lower your score.
This fucking car charger broke my charger.
Again, having more revolving loans, more credit cards in relation to installment loans. We want to see a mix. And then joint co-applicant and co-signer accounts. If you have to get somebody to co-sign for you, or they're joint, that person is taking the risk and taking the responsibility of the loan
So
as
wait,
well, if
so-
you don't pay it.
If I do pay it, they're getting the credit, whatever. Then
Their
I'm
credit's
not-
being maintained.
Okay.
Right. If you stop not paying it, they either have to pay it to prevent it from hurting their credit, or it will start to affect their score. So joint and co-applicant are the same on a loan. So again, everything on your credit report is anything you've ever borrowed. And it includes the name and address of all the creditors, how much you had for a balance at your last time they pulled it, how much they gave you to spend, what your limit was, and if you've been late. Especially the last column will show how many times you've been late and how recently you've been late. And the more recent things on your credit report, the more they hurt. Things that are older, 5 or 6 years old, we generally don't tell people to fix those, we just kind of let that just settle. But if they have a current bill that's like 30 days late and they've missed 2 minimum payments, that's the bill that they want to get up to speed because that's going to have the most positive effect on the score. Name of all creditors. It also has the addresses and phone numbers in case there's a creditor on your report that's not yours, which does happen a lot. Especially with a junior and a senior, if there's a junior and a senior with the same name, sometimes different trade lines can get switched around, and sometimes it's identity theft, and sometimes it's just a mistake. But we do have people that look at their credit and say, these aren't my bill, this was not mine. I don't have any of these credit lines. So the addresses and phone numbers are on there because it is up to the consumer to contact the credit bureaus to fix it. And you can fix it, it just takes a while. You don't want to be fixing it when you're trying to buy a car or you're trying to buy a house. You want to fix it and get it straightened out when you have some time to do it. This is an example of a credit report. This is from TransUnion, and this is a 795, which is a very high score. You don't see these as much. This person has some student loans here, U.S. Department of Education. It's telling you that's installment, and they're up to date. It gives the balance, and any past due. This will have a red star on it if it's past due. I have another example of a credit report that's not so good coming up next. Here's a credit card, First USA, it's a Visa card probably, and then here's a mortgage. So it's basically somebody just starting out, maybe they just bought a house, they have a student loan from getting through school, they've got one Visa card with a very minimal balance. On here, see, it says the balance is $526, but their credit limit's $13,000. So this is somebody who's really keeping their money in check. They have a $13,000 limit and they only owe $526. So they're not spenders.
Last time my girlfriend was paying her car off, she had like 3 years to pay it off, and she paid like more than half of it off in a year.
That's another good thing. You can add to an installment loan and pay it off faster.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Here is a bad score. And again, these are the red stars. This is a 525. This is actually someone that we would not be able to lend to in our credit union, despite we have very, very lenient policies on lending, and we try and help people build their credit and get out of things. But this was too far gone. This is their mortgage, and they're $6,800 past due on the mortgage. So this is a horrible
Just
story.
68,000.
$6,800.
Oh.
The payment's $1,300 a month, so they're about 3-4 months behind. This is another mortgage, so they took a second mortgage out on the house trying to catch up, and that one's also delinquent. That one's not as delinquent, but for it. So that's what the red stars are showing, is that the accounts are delinquent. You can get a copy of your credit report once a year from all 3 of the bureaus. Just go, you don't have to pay for anything online. If you get the offers, get your free credit report, and then you give them your debit card, and then all of a sudden 3 months later you start seeing charges for it. That's what a lot of the ones online will do. You don't have to pay for your credit report. You can always get a full copy from all 3 bureaus every year. All you do is just send them an email and request it. Okay, so this is showing the difference in a good score and a bad score on a regular car loan. So we are doing this car loan for the low score. We're going to do it, maybe they have a cosigner, or maybe they had a lot of cash down, or if they've been a long-time member of the credit union. But we're going to charge them for 5 years, 16.50. So their payment a month is going to be $614.